Guilherme Sapp from ESPN Brazil. We talk about a lot about the Pacers offense and how you guys are explosive and all, but this tonight you only conceded 2 points in the last 2 minutes. How proud are you of the defensive effort in the last minutes of the team?
Our defense is something that we decided to hang our hat on about a year and a half ago. We knew we had to, if we ever wanted to be on this stage, it's something we had to tune up. So I think we did a good job, in the last closing moments, but we still got a lot of work to do. And even myself, I know I made a lot of mistakes tonight, but that's the beauty of being on the stage. Once you make a mistake, you got to move right on because the game just moves so fast.
Last row.
Hey, Myles. Derek Kramer, iPacers.com. Can you just tell me about the importance of Obi Toppin in this game? 17 points off the bench, 5 threes.
Man, it's just his confidence never shook. He started the game off with like 2 or 3 turnovers and whatnot, and he was able to make an impact. I think he started hit a couple threes right after that. Defensively, he's moving his feet. He's able to get out and run. So he's someone that's very important, to our system. But I think it was a huge confidence boost for him. Especially game one.
Right here in the first row on the right.
Steve Ashman, NBA.com. Knowing what you knew about Oklahoma City coming in and their defense and their propensity to force turnovers, by the end of that first half, were you guys disappointed in yourselves, more stunned at how that had gone in giving up the ball?
Absolutely not. You just said it. We knew what this team was. I think that on this stage, you don't have time to be stunned. You don't have time to be disappointed. Again, you have to move on. We came in there knowing that we can be better, and next again, it's probably historically bad. I'm not sure what the record is, but we weathered the storm. We were resilient, and we were able to find a way to win in the end.
First row here on the left, Tim.
Thank you. Myles, some guys might get one of those shots in a lifetime. Ty's had 4 in these playoffs in the last 1.4 or whatever. What's it been like to witness, and how do you explain it as somebody who's seen a lot in this league, what he does in that moment?
Ultimate confidence in himself, and that is so. Some players will say they have it, but there's other players that show it, and he's gonna let you know about it too. That's one of the things I respect about him. He's just he's a baller, man. He's a hooper. He's just really just a gamer. When it comes to them moments, like he wants the ball. He wants to be the one to hit that shot. He doesn't shy away from the moment, and very important this time of the year. To have a go-to guy, and just seems to keep finding a way. We keep getting the ball in the right positions, and the rest is history.
Right in the middle.
Myles, Minor Castillo desde la cancha. Would you like to have more touches in the low post, like a traditional pivot for the game too?
I think for the way our offense is structured, it's 0.5 seconds. You see it, you have a decision, you try to make a decision. If you're not, you come off it. So, of course, I'm be down there battling and whatnot, but I also know that when I'm facing the ball, there's 2 guys behind me at times. So I'm not seeing it's there. So I'm very patient with our offense. I think. The only thing I said was just stop throwing me bounce passes. Because that's the only place these guards can get the ball. So outside of that, no, man. I think our team did a good job of making reads tonight, and we continue to keep rolling.
Last row.
Myles, Andrew Greif for the NBC News. You kind of mentioned earlier that you guys felt like after 19 first half turnovers, something changed and it wasn't maybe dramatic. But can you be a little more specific about to go from 19 in the first half to only 2 in the third quarter? Was there something you felt like you guys as a team did better at stopping what Oklahoma City was doing with physicality, or how do you explain just the difference there?
Just valuing possessions. I think that obviously this time of the year is so important. That this is a 1-point game tonight, so those possessions matter so much. I think our biggest thing is our response. You know what I mean? Like we know things are gonna go bad at times, things are gonna go good, but you got to be even keel, just kaizen, just calm waters. You know what I mean? You just to answer your question, I think that we just knew we had to value the ball a lot more. We started to put two hands, 2 eyes on the ball. Whoever passing it, started to keep the ball high. Just all the elementary stuff. Sometimes that's what it's about in this game. It's going back to fundamentals. So yeah, chin on the ball, little stuff like that.
Second row in the middle.
Jordan Davis with Oklahoma, and Myles, you obviously had some struggles in there in the first half, but then in the second half, hit 2 big threes, laid down the stretch in the fourth quarter. I mean, what was kind of the keys to get you going for that whole second half on both ends of the floor? And obviously, what was your biggest takeaway from what you were able to do there?
Confidence. Supreme confidence in myself. I've worked my entire life to get to this stage, so there's no holding back. When I saw opportunities, I was going to be as aggressive as possible, and I was able to hit 2 big shots, or whatever you want to call it. It's just supreme confidence in myself.
Second row here on the right.
Myles, you guys never get too high, never get too low. How much of that comes from Rick, and just where does that mentality come from?
A lot of it does come from Rick. You know, he instills it in us. I think he's one of the better coach. He's not like a rah-rah guy, but like his speeches and stuff, you know, just his preparation, you know, gets us in tune. I think I like his overall mentality, you know, when it comes to getting us prepared for moments like such. And, you know, that's, again, I mean, that's what this time of the year is about. Someone who's actually been there before, 6 times to be exact.
First row here in the middle.
Brad Parker, The Score. Myles, you put out that tweet nearly 12 years ago to the day saying, "What if the Pacers win it all?"
Yeah.
How does it feel you're 3 games away from potentially, being correct with that tweet?
You know, we're one step closer. You know, it's a funny thing, you know, when stuff like that happens. I remember I was watching that series against it was against the Heat and whatnot, and you know they were playing really well, and I just they were my favorite team in 2K at the time, so you know, I wanted it for them, but yeah, no, we have a lot of work to do, man. You know, again, we're one step closer. You know, it feels good to get the first one underneath your belt because now you have a baseline, you can make adjustments, and you know, do what you got to do.
Over here on the right.
Myles, I know you all have supreme confidence whenever Ty gets the ball late game situations. How similar is your confidence when Drew's guarding the MVP one-on-one with no help with the game on the line?
Yeah, no, it helps that they're Canadian teammates. So, you know, I think that Drew's probably seen a little bit of what, you know, Shea can do. And at the end of the day, man, we have, again, just ultimate confidence to go out there and just, you know, be him and hit a big shot, you know, had a big stop, and, you know, he's continuing to put himself on the map.
Thanks, Myles.
Sits back there, what you got?
Oh, hey, Valencia King, Real Talk Sports, appreciate your time. So you've mentioned your confidence and you mentioned the defense on this team, and I won't take you back too far, but do you remember when you fell in love with being a defensive player, because we've seen it throughout your whole career?
Yeah, man, my pops, he always told me that's what you're gonna be able to make your, you know, bread and butter on. It's just he saw an elite timing. You know, back when I played YMCA basketball, you know, they give you like those wristbands. You have to like, you know, be with someone. What the other team would do is have their kids stand at half court, so I had to stand with him, and it used to frustrate the hell out of me. But from that moment on, he was like, "Yo, listen, man, this is what you're gonna make your mark off." And you know, time. I think shot blocking is it's something that's, you know, it's innate, it's given. I don't think you can really learn it. It's just either you have it or you don't. So. Yeah, I think I really fell in love with defense really back in the YMCA days, just to seeing how much of an imprint I was leaving on the game. And, you know, my dad just spoke a lot into existence.